Good morning, everyone. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone and they open up about their struggles, big or small? You can see the vulnerability in their eyes, the rawness in their words, and yet there's something in you that doesn't quite know what to say. Maybe you even try to fix it. Maybe you offer advice or try to offer solutions, not because you don't care, but because you feel compelled to ease the discomfort. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness in a world that celebrates strength, resilience, and self-sufficiency. We're taught from an early age that showing any sign of weakness is something to be avoided, something to be hidden. But vulnerability is not about weakness, it's about courage. It's about showing up in the world as our authentic selves, even when we don't have all the answers, even when we're uncertain, afraid, or hurting. It's about being willing to expose parts of ourselves that feel raw, messy, or broken. It's in those moments of vulnerability that we find our deepest connections with others. When someone opens up about their struggles, their fears, or their pain, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to connect on a human level, to see each other for who we truly are beneath the masks we wear in daily life. It takes an immense amount of courage to be vulnerable, and yet so often we misunderstand it. We think that if we are vulnerable, others will see us as weak or incapable, or they may distance themselves from us. But the truth is that vulnerability is the very thing that allows us to experience connection at its most profound level. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that vulnerability means exposure without protection, that it leaves us open to judgment, rejection, or hurt. But vulnerability isn't about being completely exposed or defenseless. It's about choosing to share pieces of ourselves with others in a way that allows us to be seen and known. It's about having the courage to show the parts of ourselves that are tender and vulnerable, even when we don't know what the response will be. It's the willingness to risk that a connection may or may not be formed, but to try anyway because we recognize the value of what's at stake. When someone tells you about their problems or challenges, they're not necessarily asking for a solution. Often they're simply asking to be seen, to be heard. They want the recognition that they are more than just their struggles, that they are worthy of empathy, understanding, and care. Vulnerability is the key to opening up that space of understanding. It's the willingness to say, I don't have all the answers, but I see you. I hear you, and I'm here with you as you are with all of your complexities. It's not about offering quick fixes or sweeping away the discomfort, but about sitting with someone in their pain, in their uncertainty, and in their vulnerability. In fact, it's through our own vulnerability that we create the potential for others to be vulnerable with us. When we allow ourselves to be seen in our imperfect, unpolished, and sometimes broken state, we show others that it's okay for them to do the same. Vulnerability becomes a bridge that connects us, not a barrier that separates us. It allows us to relate to one another in a way that goes beyond surface level interactions and taps into something deeper, something more authentic. We often resist vulnerability because we fear rejection or judgment, or we fear that by showing our true selves, we'll be seen as inadequate or not enough. But the irony is that when we suppress our vulnerability, we also suppress the very connections that can bring us the support, understanding, and comfort we crave. It's only when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable that we create the conditions for genuine connection, for real intimacy, and for the kind of deep, meaningful relationships that make life worth living. So vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. It's the strength to be authentic, to show up as who we really are, even when we're unsure or afraid. It's the strength to be open, to trust that the right people will see us for who we truly are, and that connection will form not because we are perfect or have it all together, but because we are willing to be real. Vulnerability, when embraced, becomes the very thing that transforms our relationships and our lives, allowing us to connect in ways we never thought possible. It's through vulnerability that we find courage, and through courage that we find each other. Listening without judgment is one of the most powerful acts of empathy we can offer another person. In a world that often encourages us to quickly assess, analyze, and offer solutions, simply listening without judgment can feel like a revolutionary act. When someone opens up about their struggles, what they often need most is not someone who will immediately tell them what to do or how to fix their situation. Instead, they need someone who will hear them, really hear them, without offering unsolicited advice or dismissing their emotions. We live in a culture that is constantly solving problems, often at the expense of deep listening. In conversations, it's easy to slip into the mode of thinking that we need to offer a solution to someone's challenges, that our role is to fix what's wrong or to tell them how they should think about or deal with their problems. While this instinct to help is rooted in care, it can actually hinder the connection we are trying to build. The problem is that when we listen with an agenda, when we listen with the aim of fixing the situation or telling someone how to handle it, we often miss the opportunity to truly understand the other person's experience. Listening without judgment requires us to step back from our own thoughts, ideas, and biases and simply be present with what the other person is sharing. It means making space for their feelings, even when those feelings are difficult, messy, or uncomfortable. When we listen without judgment, we are acknowledging that the other person's emotions and experiences are valid, even if we don't completely understand them. We give them permission to express themselves freely without fear of being criticized or dismissed. One of the challenges of listening without judgment is that it requires us to be vulnerable ourselves. In order to truly listen, we have to let go of our own need for control or certainty and accept that we may not have all the answers. We have to be willing to sit in discomfort, to sit in the unknown, and allow the person to be who they are without trying to change them. This kind of listening doesn't involve rushing to offer comfort or trying to make everything better. It simply involves being present, offering a quiet kind of support that doesn't need to fix anything, but simply acknowledges that what the person is going through is real and important. This type of listening also means not rushing to judge the emotions or actions of the person speaking. It's easy to listen with a judgmental ear to evaluate whether their feelings are reasonable or whether they're handling the situation correctly. But this approach can create a barrier between us and the person we're trying to support. When we judge, we unintentionally distance ourselves from their experience. On the other hand, when we listen without judgment, we invite the other person to fully share their truth, knowing that we are accepting them exactly as they are, without criticism or expectation. Listening without judgment also means recognizing that everyone's experience is unique. What may seem like a simple issue to one person might be incredibly painful for another. When we listen with judgment, we risk minimizing or invalidating someone else's feelings. This can lead to a sense of isolation for the person speaking, making them feel that their pain or struggles aren't worthy of attention or care. When we listen without judgment, we send the message that their experience is worthy of respect and understanding. This doesn't mean that we always agree with the other person or that we condone their actions. It simply means that we are creating a space where their feelings and experiences can be heard and acknowledged. We can be supportive without necessarily agreeing with everything that's being said. By listening without judgment, we create a space where the person feels safe to express themselves, and we open the door to deeper understanding and connection. Listening without judgment is one of the most powerful ways we can show up for someone in their moment of need. It doesn't require us to have all the answers or to solve their problems. It simply requires us to be fully present, to hold space for their emotions, and to show them that we see and hear them exactly as they are. When we offer this kind of listening, we offer the gift of understanding, of connection, and of unconditional support, which can make all the difference in the world to someone who is struggling. When someone tells us about their problems, what they are often looking for is not an immediate fix, but rather empathy and understanding. It's easy to assume that when people open up about their struggles, they want us to offer solutions. And while that might be true in some cases, more often than not, they simply want to be heard. They want to know that someone else sees them in their struggle without judgment and that their feelings are valid. Offering empathy in these moments, rather than rushing to solve the problem, is one of the most powerful things we can do. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. It's about putting ourselves in their shoes, not to solve their problem, but to acknowledge the emotions they are experiencing. People don't always need advice when they are struggling. What they need is the assurance that they are not alone, that someone cares enough to listen to them without trying to change their situation. In many ways, empathy can be more healing than a solution because it offers a sense of connection, of being understood, which is something that many of us long for during difficult times. When we listen with empathy, we create a space for the other person to express themselves fully without the fear of being judged or dismissed. It allows them to be vulnerable without the pressure of being fixed or told what to do. Sometimes people just need to release their emotions to express their pain, confusion, or frustration. They may already know what they need to do to move forward, or they may not be ready to think about solutions at all. What matters is that they are given the freedom to feel their feelings, and in that process, they can begin to understand themselves better, or at least feel less burdened by their emotions. When we assume that the person telling us their problems wants us to offer solutions, we may unintentionally invalidate their experience. They might feel that their emotions are not enough on their own and that they are only worthy of attention if they can be fixed. By listening without offering solutions, we avoid falling into the trap of minimizing their feelings or trying to rush them through their pain. Empathy allows the person to feel seen and heard for exactly who they are without the need to be perfect or have everything figured out. It's an act of deep connection that says, I see you in your struggle and I'm here with you. This does not mean that we should never offer advice or solutions when asked, but it does mean that we need to be mindful of when our input is truly needed and when it might be more helpful to simply listen. Sometimes people need advice because they are ready for it, but many times they just need someone who will be there with them, sitting in the discomfort without feeling the need to take the pain away. This type of presence is not only comforting, but also empowering. It shows that they are capable of handling their emotions in their situation, even if they need time to process it. Empathy also involves validating the emotions of the other person, even if we don't fully understand or agree with them. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that we must agree with someone's feelings in order to support them. But that's not the case. Everyone's experiences are unique, and their emotions, however confusing or intense, are valid. When we offer empathy, we acknowledge that their feelings are real and worthy of attention, regardless of whether we would feel the same in their situation. In relationships, whether with friends, family, or even colleagues, empathy plays a critical role in building trust and fostering deeper connections. When someone shares their struggles and we respond with empathy, we show them that we care, that we are willing to walk alongside them, even if we can't take their pain away. This creates a bond that is built on mutual respect and understanding, a bond that goes beyond problem solving and taps into the emotional reality of human life. The power of empathy lies in its ability to offer solace without requiring action. It's about being present and showing care in a way that doesn't impose solutions or expectations. Sometimes all someone needs is a listening ear, someone who will let them express their feelings without judgment or interruption. By offering this kind of support, we give them the space they need to process their emotions and find their own way forward at their own pace. Empathy is not about fixing or solving problems. It's about being there in the moment, honoring the other person's humanity, and showing them that their experience matters. When we listen to someone, especially when they are sharing their struggles, it's important to recognize that our role is not to fix them or to solve their problems. Often, we are conditioned to think that when someone expresses pain, confusion, or frustration, our job is to find a solution or provide answers. However, the true power of listening is not in offering solutions, but in simply being present. It's about showing up with empathy and understanding and letting the other person know that they are not alone in their experience. Sometimes the most healing thing we can do is to sit in the discomfort with them without rushing to find a way out of it. When we try to fix a situation or solve a problem immediately, we unintentionally minimize the emotions that the other person is feeling. It can feel as though their experience isn't valid until it has a resolution, or as though their pain is something to be avoided rather than embraced. This mindset can make the person sharing feel as though they are a problem to be fixed, rather than a person to be heard. What they need is not to be fixed, but to be understood. They need someone who will listen deeply and allow them the space to express their feelings without the need for solutions. There's a subtle but important difference between being a problem solver and being a listener. Problem solving is about identifying a situation and then finding a way to improve or fix it. Listening, on the other hand, is about creating space for the person to share their experience without judgment or interference. It requires us to resist the urge to offer advice or solutions right away and to instead focus on understanding the other person's feelings. This does not mean that solutions are not important, but acknowledges that sometimes the first step in addressing a problem is simply acknowledging the feelings surrounding it. It's about letting the person express themselves fully and in doing so, validating their experience. In many cases, the person who is struggling already knows what they need to do or has an idea of what the next steps might be. However, they may not be ready to face those steps yet, or they might need time to process their emotions before taking action. When we rush to offer solutions, we may unintentionally skip over this necessary emotional processing. By focusing on fixing the problem immediately, we take away the opportunity for the person to work through their feelings, which is often an important part of the healing process. They may need to talk through their confusion, frustration, or sadness, and by listening without judgment, we create a safe space for them to do that. Additionally, when we listen without the agenda of fixing things, we show the person that their feelings matter. We signal that they are worthy of being heard and that their experience is important, even if there is no immediate fix for it. This kind of listening deepens the connection between two people because it allows the one who is sharing to feel valued for who they are, not just for the solutions they might bring to the table. It affirms that they are not alone in their struggle and that someone cares enough to stay with them through the messiness of life's challenges. Being a listener without trying to fix the situation also allows us to be more present in the moment. Often, when we are focused on offering solutions, we are thinking ahead, analyzing the situation, and trying to figure out what to say next. We may miss out on the opportunity to truly connect with the other person and to fully understand what they are going through. Listening without judgment or distraction allows us to be fully engaged in the conversation, and it helps us to respond with empathy, not out of obligation to solve a problem. This kind of listening can be incredibly powerful. It can help to diffuse tension, ease the weight of difficult emotions, and create a sense of solidarity between people. It can transform a moment of isolation into one of connection, where both parties feel understood and supported. By simply being there without the need to offer immediate solutions, we give the other person the space to process their emotions, gain clarity, and eventually find their own path forward. In the end, the act of listening without trying to fix or solve is an act of compassion. It's about recognizing that sometimes the best thing we can do is not to take control of a situation, but to offer our presence, our attention, and our understanding. It's about showing up for someone not as a fixer, but as a person who is willing to sit with them in their discomfort, acknowledging that their feelings are valid and that their humanity is enough just as it is. When we offer our presence to someone in their moment of need, we often underestimate the immense value that simply being there can have. In our fast-paced world, we tend to prioritize action, solutions, and productivity, thinking that support means doing something. But sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer is our attention, our time, and our willingness to just be present. Presence doesn't always require words, and it certainly doesn't always demand action. It's the act of showing up, of sitting with someone in their pain, their uncertainty, or their joy, and letting them know, I am here with you. We live in a culture that often emphasizes the need to fix problems quickly, to find solutions or take action. This mindset can lead to the misconception that offering our presence is not enough, that we must do something tangible to be helpful. However, in many situations, the act of simply being there for someone can be far more meaningful and impactful than any solution we could provide. Sometimes people are not seeking advice or solutions, they are seeking comfort, connection, and understanding. They need to know that someone else is there to witness their experience, to stand by them as they navigate whatever they are going through. Offering our presence is about showing that we care enough to sit with someone in their emotional reality. It is a reminder that they are not alone, even if they feel isolated in their struggle. We don't need to have all the answers, and we don't need to rush to change the situation. What matters is that we show up with an open heart, ready to listen, to empathize, and to simply be a witness to their experience. It's about creating a space where the other person feels safe enough to express themselves, to share their pain or confusion without the fear of being judged, rushed, or pressured to move past it. This presence can be especially powerful in times of crisis or hardship. When someone is facing a difficult situation, whether it's the loss of a loved one, a personal failure, or a challenging transition, the emotions they are experiencing can feel overwhelming. In these moments, the need for someone to simply be there, offering silent support, can be the most healing gift. It's not about saying the right thing or providing solutions, it's about providing the space for the person to process their emotions at their own pace. Sometimes just knowing that someone is there, sitting beside them, can provide a sense of comfort and relief. It reminds them that they don't have to carry their burden alone. Our presence can also offer reassurance. When people are going through a tough time, they may doubt their ability to cope or may feel that they are somehow failing. By offering our presence, we show them that they are not a burden, that they are worthy of support, and that their feelings are valid. We create a safe space for them to express themselves without fear of being judged or told what to do. This is incredibly powerful because it affirms their humanity, their worth, and their right to feel what they are feeling. The simple act of being there sends the message that they are not alone in their struggle and that someone cares enough to witness their pain. Sometimes our presence can be more meaningful than words. We may feel compelled to offer advice, to try to comfort with reassuring words or explanations. But in many cases, words can feel inadequate or even dismissive of the other person's experience. The most powerful support we can give is often found in our nonverbal communication through eye contact, a gentle touch, or simply sitting quietly next to someone, offering them the space to express their feelings. This presence doesn't have to be elaborate or showy. It doesn't require grand gestures or special skills. It's about being there with an open heart, willing to embrace whatever the other person is experiencing without trying to change it. Offering our presence also involves being fully present in the moment. This means putting aside distractions, letting go of our own worries, and focusing entirely on the person in front of us. It's about creating a moment of connection where the other person feels that they have our undivided attention, that they are the most important thing in that moment. In a world full of distractions and constant busyness, this level of attentiveness can be incredibly rare and precious. When we give someone our full presence, we offer them something that cannot be bought or fabricated: our time, our care, and our emotional availability. Presence is not just about physical proximity, it's about emotional availability. It's about being there with empathy, with patience, and with an open mind, ready to accept the person's feelings without judgment. It's about creating a space where they can be their true selves, where they don't have to hide or suppress their emotions, but can express them freely. This kind of presence is a gift, one that can offer deep comfort and healing in times of need, and it is a powerful way to show someone that they are valued and not alone in their journey. When someone opens up to us about their problems, it's easy to think that the best thing we can do is immediately offer advice or jump in with solutions. After all, we care about the person and we want to help them overcome their struggles as quickly as possible. But often what the person really needs is not a solution, but simply the opportunity to be heard. It's in the space of being heard, truly listened to, and validated that we can offer something deeper and more lasting than quick fixes. Sometimes our role is not to solve the problem, but to hold space for the other person's experience, letting them feel safe enough to explore their emotions and find their own path forward. One of the most powerful things we can do for someone who is struggling is to simply listen without judgment or the impulse to fix. We live in a culture that often prioritizes solutions over feelings, but emotions are not problems to be fixed. They are human experiences to be understood. When someone shares their difficulties, it's important to resist the urge to immediately make it better, because this impulse can inadvertently shut down the person's ability to fully process what they are going through. Instead, we can offer a presence that says, "I see you and I hear you." This kind of listening allows the person to feel seen and understood without the need to change anything about their situation. Listening without the agenda of solving someone's problems does not mean that we don't care or that we are indifferent to their pain. On the contrary, it means we are offering our care in a way that respects the other person's emotional journey. Sometimes people need space to feel their emotions fully before they can think about what to do next. By focusing solely on listening, we give them that space. We don't rush them through their feelings or push them towards solutions they're not ready to embrace. We simply create a safe environment where they can explore their thoughts and emotions freely. The act of listening is a gift in itself. Often, when people share their struggles, they are not seeking a specific outcome or action. They just want someone who will be there for them without the pressure of fixing or solving. Offering that kind of unconditional presence is an incredibly powerful form of support. It allows the person to unload their emotions and process their experience without feeling burdened by expectations or judgments. This type of emotional support fosters a sense of connection and belonging, reminding the person that they are not alone in their journey. When we listen without offering solutions, we show them that their feelings are enough, just as they are. When we listen in this way, we also communicate something deeply important: that their emotions are valid, no matter how messy or difficult they may seem. Sometimes people feel ashamed of their feelings or unsure of how to navigate their emotions. They may fear that they are burdening others or that their problems are too insignificant to talk about. By simply listening without judgment or the need to fix, we reassure them that their experience is important and that their feelings matter. This validation is often the first step toward healing, because it helps the person acknowledge their own emotions and gives them permission to feel what they feel. Listening also helps to create trust and strengthen relationships. When we show up for someone without the need to offer solutions, we build a deeper emotional connection. The person comes to trust that we are there for them, not to judge or fix, but to walk alongside them in their experience. This trust forms the foundation for more meaningful interactions where both parties feel safe to share, explore, and process their emotions without fear of being dismissed or invalidated. Over time, this strengthens the bond between people and fosters a sense of mutual support that transcends surface-level interactions. We often assume that we need to have all the answers in order to be helpful, but in many cases, the best thing we can do is offer our full presence. This means giving the other person the time and space to articulate their feelings, to sort through their thoughts, and to navigate their own emotions. Our role in these moments is not to be the problem solver, but to be the safe space where they can process their emotions and come to their own conclusions. We do not need to have the answers. We simply need to be willing to listen and be present without rushing to fix anything. Listening without the urge to fix also means accepting the other person's experience without judgment or criticism. It's important to let go of our own biases or assumptions about how they should feel or how they should handle their situation. Everyone's journey is unique, and their path to healing or resolution will not always look like what we might expect. By offering an open, non-judgmental presence, we allow the person to find their own way forward without feeling the weight of our expectations. Ultimately, listening without trying to fix creates an environment where the other person feels safe to explore their emotions and find their own solutions. It fosters a deeper sense of understanding, connection, and trust. In these moments, we offer something far more meaningful than advice or solutions. We offer the gift of presence, empathy, and unconditional support. In conclusion, when someone shares their problems, the most valuable support we can offer is our presence and empathetic listening. By resisting the urge to fix or offer solutions, we create a space where they can feel heard, validated, and understood. Our role is not to solve their problems, but to be there with them in their struggle, allowing them the space to process their emotions and find their own way forward. In doing so, we foster deeper connections, trust, and healing, reminding the person that they are not alone in their journey. Sometimes just being present is the greatest gift we can give.